Hello, Namaskar, welcome to my pod, the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis. My name is Juggi Bhasin. The sweetest victories in life are those which are snatched away from the jaws of defeat. No prizes for guessing. I'm of course referring to the Haryana elections which were won by the BJP. But the Haryana elections are done and dusted with. But I'll tell you what remains. What really remains is the rallying political war cry of Yogi, Katege to batege. It was this war cry which actually brought about a change in the fortunes of the BJP. And I'm arguing in this podcast that this war cry, this political slogan, actually is changing the political landscape of the country. It is changing Indian politics probably forever. And I will explain to that. I will expand on this in this theme in this podcast. But first, understand this. Who do you think that Yogi referred to when he was talking about this slogan, Katege to batege? Do you think he was only talking about the people of India or even about the Hindus of India? Certainly he was talking about them, but he was talking more, I think, about the BJP and the RSS. He was referring, this slogan was aimed at both the BJP and the RSS, that if we are not united, katenge to hum bat jayenge, our energies will be lost. The first and foremost, this slogan was directed against the BJP and the RSS. And look, the miraculous political change which has happened after that, especially from the BJP's point of view. Yogi made that statement, then this statement was in a slightly different way but almost on the same lines. It was spoken by the Prime Minister at a political rally in Haryana, and then the RSS chief also made a similar statement. All the three top leaders of the BJP RSS combined made a similar kind of a statement. And as we know, after the June 2024 elections, all the contradictions in the BJP, all the problems in the BJP, especially the problems not only within the party but the problems with the RSS, had come out on the surface. Now we remember that the RSS chief at that time was making statements which were directed not only against the BJP but some fell against the Prime Minister himself. And that back and forth continued, and everybody felt that this was like an internecine warfare which was going on, and it was a house divided. But ever since this political war cry was given by Yogi, it seems that some kind of a patch up has happened behind the scenes. When did that happen? How did that happen? Those are matter of detail. We don't even know about that. Nobody, I think, knows about that, but they did happen because all three leaders were speaking the same language. And look at the change which happened on the ground. How did this translate on the ground? It translated on the ground because unlike the general elections, with the RSS workers did not go out in the field, especially in UP, because of that statement, if you remember, made by Nadda that the BJP did not need the RSS. The RSS workers probably were hurt. The RSS was hurt and they did not go on the field and pitch in for the BJP. But this time in the Haryana election, the RSS workers were out in full strength on the field. They were going door to door. Some people say almost 16,000 rallies were addressed by the RSS BJP combined. And this brought about a change in the fortunes of the BJP. So that's from the BJP RSS point of view. I'm going to argue in this podcast that this double-engined energy of the BJP RSS is absolutely essential for the fortunes of the BJP, because without each other they are nothing. The BJP is not complete without the RSS, and the RSS is not complete without the BJP. And the BJP, I think, actually needs the RSS more in any case, because the entire ground field work, the strength, the work on ground zero is done to a very large extent by the RSS field workers. And it's good that the two have realized that they need each other and they have come to each other. But let's also talk a little bit about the opposition, about Rahul Gandhi. After June 2024, no question in my mind that Rahul Gandhi actually was on an upswing. He had gained some kind of attraction, he had gained some kind of a momentum in this country, and if only Rahul Gandhi had not been Rahul Gandhi. He would have, if he had restrained himself, if he had not made all those insulting remarks in Parliament, if he had tried, his conduct had been more dignified, more sober, a little more restrained, then probably the Congress would have still been on an upswing. But Rahul Gandhi, of course, became Rahul Gandhi himself in no time. And he was all over the place, strutting around in his t-shirt, making, how do I put it, remarks which are at times very unparliamentary. That's all I can say. And it did not go down well with the people. And then there was this backlash which none of us foresee. None of us could see. All the political commentators, all the media barons, all the broadcasters, none could see the backlash that was building up in the country. The people, within a matter of 2 to 3 months only after the general elections, were fed up with the way Rahul Gandhi was behaving, with the way he was going around, and especially his cavorting. There's an English word called cavorting, cavorting, with elements which can just be described only as anti-national elements. Look at the kind of meetings he held with people like Ilhan Omar in the United States, and all these NGOs and all these other people who are completely ill-disposed to India. The backlash was building out. None of us could foresee that this was coming, and the BJP, RSS combined in the nick of time. They came together, they sunk their differences, they patched up, and look at the results on the ground. Now, I'm going to expand on this theme a little bit more, but before I do that, as always, I would urge all of you to please subscribe to my channel, the CAA Show. As you can see, we bring you very, very interesting themes, very, very interesting ideas are explored in this podcast. And of course, it's very simple to become a member. You just have to click on the red button on your screen. Subscription is absolutely free, no worries about that. And if you do that, please also would appreciate if you could like the show and you could share this video with your friends and your colleagues. Okay, that's my message, of course, now of the day. Now let's get back to this very, very interesting topic. Now, why, when I'm talking about the backlash which was building up in the country, and frankly, it was what I call the subterraneous backlash that was building up. Within 2.5 months, I think the people of the country had realized their mistake, that maybe they had given too many seats to the Congress party. Maybe the leader of this party was still not mature enough to handle the success which they had literally given him on a platter. Very unexpected success, which even I think the Congress party in its wildest dream also did not dream that they would land up with close to maybe 100 seats in Parliament. I think the people of India were regretting their decision. The people of India wanted something to be done about it, but somebody had to pick up the gauntlet. Somebody had to see the silent anger, I would say, the silent resentment on the ground, and make use of that. And that is where I think the double engine of BJP, RSS came together at the right time to take advantage of this anger which was brewing on the ground. Now let's talk a little bit about the disaster that Mr. Rahul Gandhi was making immediately, I think, after these elections, after the 2024 election. I think the biggest mistake he did was that he literally went after the Hindu faith. The way he was parading around those pictures in Parliament, and then the kind of statements he was making about Hinduism in certain political rallies. And then people started asking this question, that what exactly is this man's Mohabbat ki dukan? And I'm going to explore this theme today. What does he mean by Mohabbat ki dukan? Is the Mohabbat ki dukan, the Mohabbat or the love in English, is it reserved only for a religious minority in the country? Is the Mohabbat or the love not for the majority community in the country? Because, and why do I say that? Because there is now empirical proof that probably such a case actually is happening. because of the simple fact that Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been going hammer and tongs before the elections, now even after the elections, asking for a caste census. Why is he asking for a caste census in the Hindu community? The Prime Minister gave us some hint in his acceptance speech at the BJP headquarters sometime back, as we know, where he said that he was trying to divide the country on caste lines. This accusation of the Prime Minister has to be taken very, very seriously. And even if you would say that that was political rhetoric, but then there is proof that Mr. Rahul Gandhi is only asking for a caste census only in the Hindu community. Why is he not asking for some kind of a census in the Muslim community? And he would say, oh, there are no castes in the Muslim community. Hang on. I'm talking of the major divisions which are there in the Muslim community. For instance, why is he not asking how many Ashrafs are there? How many Pasmandas are there? How many Shias are there? How many Sunnis are there? How many Ahmadiyas are there? Why is he not asking for that? Then let's come to the Sikh community. If you think the Sikh community is just one community, no, there is a sizable section of the scheduled caste and the scheduled caste in the Sikh community. How many percentage of Mazhabi Sikhs are there? How many percentage of Dalit Sikhs are there? How many percentage of Jat Sikhs are there? How many people are Nirankaris? How many people are followers of Dera Sacha Sauda? And by the way, there are hundreds of other Deras in Punjab, Haryana. What about the people who are affiliated with them? Why not carry out a census about them? And then most important, what about all those Sikhs in Punjab which are converting to Christianity? Why is not a census being done about them? Why is those facts not being placed before the public? If Mr. Rahul Gandhi is asking for a census of the Hindu community, please do a census of the Muslim community, and certainly please do a census of the Sikh community also, because there are people of the Sikh community who would argue that we are losing many people of our faith to the Christian religion. So why are you not asking for a census on those lines? And even the Christian community, why are you not asking a census? How many Catholics are there? How many Protestants are there? How many people from the Anglican Church are there? How many people from the Syrian Orthodox Church are there, and I promise you there are a sizable number of them in Kerala. Why are you not asking for that census? Why is it that your eyes, your mind space, all your energies are directed against a caste census only for the Hindu community? Now that's a question Mr. Rahul Gandhi has to answer. And I think after this bout of infighting within the saffron combine, for want of a better term, between the BJP and the RSS, they finally came to their senses. I think probably, I have no proof of this, but I think maybe Yogi was instrumental in bringing everyone to their senses with that war cry, political war cry, Katege to batege. They all saw what Mr. Rahul Gandhi was really up to. They upped their game. They understood what needed to be done, what had to be said, especially in the Haryana elections, and they've won because of that. And that combined power, that double engine of BJP RSS ensured the Haryana victory. And those are good signs, those are good portents, because going forward in Maharashtra, going forward in the other state elections, this can actually be good portents for the BJP. Then let's talk of two other important factors which have happened in the last few days, and I'm going to place this in light of the BJP RSS double engine combined coming back. The second point, which is a very interesting point, was made by the RSS Sanchalak Mohabbat ji, where he talked about cultural nationalism. Okay, as opposed to the fact that he said that the biggest threat which India faces is from wokeism and from Marxism, wokeism from the West. And I completely agree with that. And why did he say that? The reason he said that was that wokeism, Marxism is, as a cultural philosophy, is in direct opposition to the indigenous cultural nationalism of India. Now, let me explain this to you, and I will put this in context again of these elections and all the politicking which is going on in this country. Today in the world, we all talk of, for instance, the indigenous tribes. We talk of the indigenous population. To give you an example, like you have the population, the indigenous population in New Zealand, or the Red Indian population, let's say, in America. And there are steps now being taken to protect them, their culture, their roots are understood now better by the people, their lands, the sanctity of their lands, of where they live. Just to give you an example, for instance, in some parts of where you have the Red Indians and a little bit of the populations are there. They are allowed to have their own police stations. They are allowed to self-administer. A degree of autonomy is given in their administration. The point which I'm making is that indigenous is a very key word in today's day and age. Now, if that be the case, if the cultural indigenous feelings, aspirations and roots of these communities can be preserved, then why is it that the West and the backers of the West, and we all know who the backers of the West are in this country, they are not only the intellectual class in this country, but they are also, I would say, a lot of elements within the Congress party. Why is it that they want a Western culture to be imposed on India? Because believe you me, the woke Western Marxist socialist culture is completely opposite to the indigenous cultural roots of India. Let me give you again a very, very interesting example. There were cases, if you remember, some time back, especially in the Scandinavian countries and Norway and all these other countries, where the children of Indian techie parents were taken away by social services on the charge that the couples, in a lot of these cases, the techie couple, the techie was the man and the housewife was the woman, and that they were beating up their or they were cruel to their children, and they were taken on that pretext that they had to be protected, and they were completely taken away. They were never returned. Those children were never returned to the Indian couples, and then they were sent into foster homes, into the child care system, foster home child care system of the West. Now, here's my point. What is our indigenous culture? What is, for instance, our cultural values? All of us have been brought up by a certain degree of discipline. No question about it. And I'm not certainly for a moment advocating that children should be beaten up or anything of that sort, but I'm saying a certain bit of discipline is absolutely essential for the bringing up of a child. What is wrong with that? But that is completely now wrong in the West. So why should the West cultural values or ethos be imposed on us? Some of the charges, for instance, which are filed against couples in Norway and these other places, was that they've said that these Indians were teaching wrong values to the children by eating with their hands. Can you imagine? Like if we a lot of us eat dal chawal with our hands. We don't use spoon. We eat with our hands. They found it to be a bad practice, an unhealthy practice, which would have a detrimental effect on children. Can you imagine? That's what I'm saying. We have certain cultural traditions, we have certain cultural roots, which I think are completely different from the West. And as Indians, not that we are close-minded, we take from the West, we take a lot of good things from the West. It's not the West is all bad or anything. I'm not even for a moment suggesting that, but we take a lot of good things from the West and we imbibe that in our culture, but we put it in part of the overall arching Indian culture. Let me give you an example. As youngsters, a lot of our youngsters, we see they wear their t-shirts and they wear their jeans, they wear their denims. Fine, wonderful, great. But on formal occasions, youngsters, many youngsters, not many, but a lot of youngsters, I would say, they are in kurta pajamas, they wear their silk kurta pajamas, they are proud to wear their bandis, or they are proud to wear their full, collar coats in the Indian style. We do that because you would even sport maybe a tilak or something on a formal occasion. That's Indian culture. And therefore I am saying, who is the West? Or what are the backers of the intellectual backers of the West in this country and abroad, also in the universities there, in among the woke crowd, and especially of, I think there are a lot of them now in the Congress party who are advocates for this kind of culture, and they poo-poo, they kind of look down upon, they look as derogatory Indian culture. You talk to the Congress party of what the RSS keeps talking of cultural nationalism, then immediately, it's like the most bad thing, the most dirtiest thing they've ever heard in their life. And that's the problem. See, this is what the RSS chief in his Dussehra address was referring to, that there is now a perceptible threat that the West wants to impose its cultural values on India, either directly or through their proxies in India. And the other detrimental thing, the other major thing which even the United States is struggling with, is this entire thing of sex change operations which are going on in the West, where especially in America and even in parts of Europe, they have sanctified that, children can choose to have a sex change operation as early as in whatever class 4th or 5th or whatever, if they want to, if they feel like it. And they are also advocating something which is completely contrary to our Indian culture. They said that the children should actually only confine their inner thoughts and feelings to their teachers and not so much to the parents. They look upon actually parents with a suspicion all the time that the parents might be harassing them, beating them, abusing them. That's the mind of the Westerners, not realizing that sometimes when you push children into the social care circuit, into the system, they end up landing in homes of either very, very old or geriatric people who don't have the energy to raise or bring up those children properly. Sometimes they land up even in the hands of pedophile people or people who are abusive. You ostensibly take out these children to free them from an abusive atmosphere, but you actually in reality push them into a life of torment and abuse. We don't want these values. We don't certainly want this culture imposed upon us, and therefore the battlegrounds are not only a political battleground which is now arising, which is coming up on the horizon, but it is a cultural war which is also taking place. And the RSS chief was dead right when he pinpointed that particular concern in his Dussehra address. And finally, the last point, which was a very important point which he made, and this is I think the first time actually when the RSS chief or probably someone from the RSS BJ combined has talked about this. This is about the foreign powers and the deep state. He used that word deep state in his Dussehra address, the RSS chief, where he said that they are going out all against India. And what did he refer to? We all know that deep state has been instrumental in bringing about a regime change in Bangladesh. He highlighted the fact that the Hindus are being tormented in Bangladesh, and he also highlighted something very, very interesting, which is again a big problem which is now occurring all over the world, that in the name of climate action, in the name of environmental protection, the West is trying to squeeze India to agree to their terms. What do I mean by that? Read the papers. Only a couple of days back, India is now protesting to the EU that we won't have this carbon tax which you are imposing on our goods and services. They are also trying to impose new taxation, or they are trying to put the strictures on certain goods which don't comply with the laws which might have some connection with the felling of trees. It's as idiotic and as stupid as that. But the fact is, the West is coming up with new ideas with this brazenness to put pressure on emerging economies like India. And it's not a hidden fact. It's not some conspiracy theory which I am talking about. There are many elements in the West who are not particularly happy with the rise and the emergence of India as a major economy. And these are all steps. I'm not only talking of the carbon tax and these environmental cesses which are being imposed, even the sanction regime where you can't import oil from one person, you can import oil from another, all this kind of regime. It's the fact that the politics in this country does not run according to their wishes. The right kind of political parties within quotes, their backers are not in political priority in this country. That troubles them, and they want to punish India for that. Now, these are the times we are living in. These are the political changes which are occurring. internationally, but certainly also within our country. But the good news which is coming out of all this is that finally the BJP RSS have woken up. They have they have smelled the coffee, as I say. They have understood that the double engine is not so much the double engine of the center and the states we keep talking about, is a double engine of BJP RSS which has to combine together, because in the end, and I will leave you with this image, the BJP is the carriage and the RSS are the wheels, and the wheels will take the carriage on the rail tracks. That's how this train will move. That's the power of the double engine of BJP RSS which this country needs. And so on this note, I come to the end of this particular podcast. I hope you really enjoyed it, and if you like the show, I would of course urge you to subscribe to it. And of course, till next time, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.